Guns don't kill people, people kill people.
On top! Yeah, they wanna see me, they done locked up in a cell. Always gonna remain solid, bitch, I never tell. Never see my soul, bitch, you know I'm gonna prevail. Oh well, catch a pussy right by his tail. Yeah, we on the road, cross the coast, need no trail. Yeah, we cut him up, send his head through the mail. Bitch, I'm the Don Honcho, can't you tell? Yeah, they hating on me cause you know I'm bringing hell. I got my gun right beside me, I ain't hiding, you can find me. Fuck all these hoes, they be traveling, crystal clear and every diamond. No diamonds missing on my medallion, making your business the pictures.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Brooklyn Boxing Podcast. I am Pat Healy, and I am joined by John David Martinez. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. And I guess as we go forward in this interview, am I calling you JD? Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what they call me.
Awesome. And you got a pretty big fan base, right? In Miami, you know, you're a pretty well-known guy on the circuit for some years now. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, getting some notoriety in the fight game and like how that's been and getting that attention. And, you know, it must be a kind of a cool experience, right? To kind of rise up like that.
Yeah, I mean, my father was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer here in Miami. When I turned pro, it, you know, building up was the goal, you know, to sell out arenas. And we started at the airport convention center. We did pretty well there. That was my pro debut, but it just started escalating after that, you know. Started getting more wins, local wins, which built a nice fan base. 2018, I headlined as the main event at the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale. It was a sold-out show. I fought undefeated prospect Harold Calderon. He was 16-0 at the time. But yeah, man, it was cool. You know, it was cool bringing out the fans. Miami people I haven't seen in years. I'm back at Fifth Street now with Dino and the team. So we're gonna fight again in May at the end of May at the Intercontinental Hotel in downtown, which is pretty cool because I live about a few blocks away from there.
Yeah, I can't wait to check that out. As you know, like I mentioned before the interview, I'm going to be in Miami in a few weeks as well, doing some stuff with Tom and Dino out of Fifth Street. They got a great gym, obviously, so much history and a great team. So, and as far as the opponent, I know you were scheduled to fight a guy a couple times, Bailey, I believe the last name, but he is that going to be the opponent, or are you moving to a different guy?
That was the opponent for two shows that fell off because of COVID. I caught the COVID. I wasn't able to fight. The goal is to get in the best shape I can with Dino and the team, and at that point, you know, we'll have someone. I'm trying to move up the ranks, so it's not gonna be a you know, walkthrough. I need something that's gonna build me up. And that's what we're aiming for.
And talk to me a little bit about, you know, you mentioned your dad was a boxer, your grandfather was a boxer. Did you really have a choice growing up, or was it just always boxing from an early age? You said, you know, this is something I want to follow in their footsteps, or did you play other sports, or what did that look like for you?
Well, growing up, my dad always had us in the boxing gym, you know, before football practice. So, me and my brother, we'd always look towards football, and but you know, being in the gym, it's hard to not pick up a pair of gloves. So we started early, you know, as 5-6-year-old kids fighting the other dad's kids, and everybody getting wrapping around the ring and chanting on little kids fighting, you know. But it was kind of natural to us already. I won the Golden Gloves, the PAL Nationals. My brother won the Golden Gloves as well, but we're more into the football, you know. And then after high school, nothing happened there, so we turned towards boxing. And he stopped. He continued on a different career, but I'm knee high in the game, you know. A few more wins, we're looking at top guys here.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I think it's worth mentioning too. It seems like you got a lot going on outside of boxing as well. I know on your Instagram, you saw you post, you know, a few different businesses you run. We hear the dogs a little bit in the background. You got the
Yeah.
French bulldog business,
Yeah.
fireworks, auto detail, and Christmas trees. So talk
Yeah.
to me a little bit about how you got all these different types of businesses and I guess how you run them all while being a pro fighter.
Well, it's difficult, you know. It's crazy because some of the times that I have the biggest fights is around the July time and the Christmas time, and I'm working while I'm training. It just never falls into that section where I'm not, working. But it is what it is, and I'll be fine at the end of May. I have nothing going on. I had, I started from scratch, dude. As a kid, I worked at Taco Bell, KFC. Then I jumped into the hotel business, and then after that, I kind of became an entrepreneur. I do run one of the most um, top. I forgot the word for that, but a very successful Christmas tree operation. We provide locals with over 5,000, 6,000 trees that we put in homes. Also, we provide for July, we do the Independence Day fireworks sale, which is very successful as well. We have 7 locations. For New Year's, we do the New Year's fireworks sales. And now, last year, we just started the pumpkin patch, which was also very successful. Um, but I'm into the seasonal stuff now, and I'm grateful and thankful to God that it's working out that way, and I'll be able to have time to train every day as well. Um,
How'd you start out like getting into that? It's like how'd you get into the Christmas tree business?
as a kid, I spent every holiday underneath a tent. My grandfather did it. Um, he had connections upstate, where it's cold, and I just saw it with my own eyes growing up. He passed away when I was 15. It took me about 5 years after that to pick up on the business, but I kind of elevated it. He had 1, 2, maybe 3, the most spot locations, and now we have 9. So I'm putting a lot into that. I'm very grateful that it's working out.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see like you're involved in so many other things outside of boxing. And is the French bulldog business that relatively new or you've been doing that a while as well?
I just started that. A friend of mine was doing it, and we spoke, and it's a good thing to have around the house, knowing that it's going to produce and also bring in income. And it's cool because you love the dog. I love dogs, and it's a nice thing to do. It's something I enjoy. It's not really like a huge business, but it will become there. I just started that actually, as we have more puppies, of course.
Yeah,
So
yeah, of course. It seems like French bulldogs right now are like so popular. It seems you see
yeah,
them all over the place. So I'm sure they're
yeah, they are.
by
They're
the
very
minute.
popular, especially in Miami. Um, people love pit bulls as well. The problem here is that you can't have one. So French bulldogs more on the terrier side. They're energetic. They're fun, and they're not illegal. So it's a good business.
So how's the boxing training going in terms of, you know, you're back at Fifth Street. Um, if you could dive into some of the detail of maybe some changes you've made at this point in your career and your approach to training, maybe even like stylistic like differences in your game now. What are some things that, you know, have been part of your evolution as a fighter?
Um, most important, loyalty, because I turned pro at Fifth Street Gym. Um, there was a routine there that I was just undefeated through 10 fights, and some things happened as they always do, in boxing, and I separated from Fifth Street. I was a little confused, a little lost. But now I'm back. It's been a year since I've been there, and I know I'm gonna be successful in the future. I know these fights coming up because Dino has a great operation. He's a winner, And as you can see, all of his fighters are winners as well. So, I'm back. We're training in the morning. We're training in the after and strength and conditioning. He has a great program. Not to mention, part of that training is on the beach, which is a few blocks down.
Yeah.
And beach training is great. I got a good plan in place with local promoters, and we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for the home run. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight 3 or 4 times this year. That'll get me to hopefully, God willing, 18, 19 wins, and look for a title shot.
And talk to me a little bit about the beach training. Like, what's the differences for you that you see, like the benefits that, or like that the sand training brings you to the ring, rather than just like typical road work or, just
Endurance.
running?
The sand, it's sand. So
Yeah.
try running in sand. Well,
Yeah.
it's pretty difficult, but try sprinting. It's even harder. And that's what we do on the sand. We do sprints, just conditioning. It's great. The next day after beach training, you get in the ring and you feel like you're floating. So I'm going to implement that into this camp. Definitely.
Awesome. And when can we expect, maybe some fight news, or what date are you looking at right now?
We're locked in for the end of May. We're not sure what day yet. We're gonna probably fight up. We're gonna fight before that, maybe in Mexico, a tune-up fight, or not sure. I'm thinking it's Mexico. That's where they're having the tune-ups out there. But a hometown throwdown thing, it's gonna be at the end of May for sure, at the Intercontinental Hotel under Henry Revolta Promotions, which he used to headline the Hard Rock.
Awesome, man. Well, we can't wait to check that out. But I did want to bring up also, like you mentioned, the tune-up fight, and I understand it. I think a lot of the listeners would be interested in like kind of hearing more of like really what that means for a fighter. And also recently, like Canelo obviously just fought in Miami against Yildirim.
Well, that's the definition of a tune-up fight. If you saw what happened, I've been out the ring a year in a few months. So we're gonna go to Mexico, get our feet wet. We're not gonna fight someone so difficult, but someone who's coming to fight, and we'll be prepared for that. That way, and at the end of May, we can step it up and fight a bigger name here in Miami in front of my hometown fans.
And do you think a guy like Canelo deserves or should have those type of tune-up fights at this point in his career? I know that's kind of a topic right now that's being debated by a lot of people, and some, say his strength of schedule of his past opponents, like he deserves once in a while a warm-up fight and stay busy fight. But there's also the other side that people are saying, are we really paying to watch this right now? Like, we want to see Canelo just basically fight, the top killers every time.
I think Eddie Hearn and a lot of our fans were kind of disappointed with his last fight. It didn't seem competitive at all at his stage in his career. And I'm no one to say anything, but he's very successful. But they're stepping him up now. I mean, a lot of people were disappointed. I was there at the fight. I was at the Hard Rock, and everyone was just shaking their heads. But with 50 plus pro fights, I think he should be fighting top guys already, which he has. He's stepping it up. Billy Joe Saunders is no walk in the park.
Right.
Sorry. But yeah, it was kind of disappointing as boxing fans that we are. Just top guys at this point, I would say,
Yeah, no, definitely. I understand why he's taking the tune-up fight in Yildirim. It's more disappointing on Yildirim, honestly, for me. I'm like, man, he really didn't show up to do anything. He looked like he just wanted to get the check and get out of there.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
sparring. It was a sparring match.
yeah,
Then again, I think a Yildirim has been out the ring for a year or two, so it plays a big part when you're active and you're not active. So
right.
absorbing those punches doesn't feel as easy if you fought 2 months ago. But yeah, I feel like he just showed up to get paid, and who wouldn't? At that point, 2.5 mil to just knock it off the stool in the third round. I wouldn't do it, but if you're a fighter, you got to fight. So
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders? That's a great matchup. I think Billy Joe is definitely going to bring it, and it's going to be obviously a much different fight than the Yildirim matchup. Billy Joe's going to push. He's undefeated. He wants to keep that out. Definitely the underdog still, but how do you see that fight playing out?
Billy Joe's an athlete, man. He's a boxer, which is you saw what Mayweather did to Canelo. So Mayweather's a boxer, and boxing is to hit and not get hit, and that's what Billy Joe does that really well. So I don't know. It's a super fight. I'm a fan of Billy Joe. I'm a fan of Canelo, but Billy's a 160. I think he's a 160, 168 natural.
68, yeah.
Yeah, and Canelo's 154, 160. Billy Joe's a good boxer. He does have these, he does avoid big punchers really well in his previous fights. So it's going to be a close. I think Billy's going to outbox him.
It's a bold prediction, but
And his stablemates Tyson Fury, so they're winners.
right. He does have a great team over there. It'll be interesting. It's a good clash of trainers as well, because I believe Ben Davidson is still Billy Joe Saunders' trainer. He was formerly Fury's trainer, not anymore. And then obviously
Right.
Eddie Reynoso with Canelo is arguably the best in the game. So that's two big teams coming clashing together. So it's going to be a good show.
Yeah. I got Billy by points. That's one of my prediction.
Interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind as the fight gets closer. I'm sure Billy's going to be an underdog, but I think it's going to be a great, entertaining fight. So I'm excited for it. But John, I appreciate the time. It was very interesting to hear a little bit about your story and what's next for you. I think people got to go check out your Instagram and stay tuned to any fight announcements as you look for to put the official date on the books. So if you want to give a shout out to where they can follow you and all your businesses, what you got going on.
Yeah, I appreciate the podcast. Look forward to my next fight. Hopefully everyone can be there. I will be posting up the flyer on my Instagram. It's JD_Miami with 2 eyes at the end. On there, you can follow my local business. I have them on my page, Santa's Garden, Champion Fireworks, and JD's Frenchies. But yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll be seeing you at 5th Street soon, I guess.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate it, man. Everyone listening, make sure to go check them out. And that was the podcast with JD. Thanks, man.
Thank you.